too fast.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah Talalay. I'm the Cultural and Educational Affairs Officer here at the U.S. Embassy in Tashkent. Welcome to all of you to the American Center Tashkent, or what we like to call the ACT. Many of you, I think, have probably been here before. I want to tell you that this is a very special edition of our Chai Chat because we have Hall of Fame woman sports journalist Lesley Visser here with us. We are also streaming live, this edition live, because we are fortunate to have Lesley here all the way from the United States. Lesley is truly a legend. She has broken so many barriers, becoming the first woman to cover an American football team, the first woman enshrined in the American Football Hall of Fame, and many others. If I listed all of her accolades and awards, we would take up the entire Chai Chat. So let's not do that. She's covered just about every sport on the planet, including the Olympics. And she's here with us for a few days to promote the 50th anniversary of Title IX, which is a groundbreaking U.S. law that ensured men and women did not face discrimination in any institutions that receive federal funding in the United States. She will tell us more about the practical impact of, from a practical standpoint, what that means. But first, welcome, Lesley Visser.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you say?
Rahmat?
No,
I say alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam?
Yeah.
Alaikum salam. Before we get started, just one other thing. We're going to try this for the first time, so bear with us because this is new. Lesley has written this incredible book about her experience and where you can read all about her amazing firsts. And she's funny and fun and energetic, and it's fabulous. We only have a few copies. So we are going to challenge you to come up with the best questions, and we're going to try to choose the best questions, and the people who ask the three best will win one of Lesley's books. So start doing your homework. Okay, Lesley, before you explain Title IX, can you tell us how you knew you wanted to be a sports writer, and how did you even come up with that idea when there were no women sports writers?
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you all for having me here. And I want to tell you, Sarah was a very highly regarded journalist herself in the United States before coming here. So I'm thrilled to be here with you. I wanted to be a sports writer, a sports journalist from the time I was 10 years old. So I don't know how old most of you are, but I was 10. And my mother, who was a teacher, said to me, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to cover sports." A job, as Sarah mentioned, did not exist for women. And when I said that, my mother, instead of saying, "Oh, you can't do that, girls don't do that," she said, "That's great. Sometimes you have to cross when it says don't walk." So for anyone here who's aspiring to any job, anywhere, I'm the example that you can do it. Because what you need passion for whatever area you're in. You need knowledge, particularly for the women who want to go in to jobs that are mostly male. If you have knowledge, that will give you confidence. And confidence is unassailable. You know it, and you will reflect it. And you also need stamina. Believe me, when I was your age, I thought, okay, this is all going to work. Excuse me, I got here at 5 this morning. This is all going to work. I'm young and I'm have this passion, but life is a Ferris wheel. You have one downtown. Did I see one? You know, the big giant wheel? And that's what a career is. You know, you can go up, but at some points it will come down. So you must have stamina to prepare for that. But I would say my blessing was that I wanted to be a journalist in sports. Like other young children, they love poetry or they love music or they want to sing. I wanted to be at sporting events because I think that they are so exciting. I know you've had the legendary gymnast Oksana, and wrestlers. And believe me, you want to go to an Olympics, because to hear your national anthem played at an Olympics is very, very powerful. They'll all have my job.
So that said, given that you took that path, you paved the way for so many women who have come after you, including myself. How difficult was it to make a path with no one to follow? And how did you keep going?
When I look back on it now, thank you for asking. Sometimes I wonder myself, because it was very difficult. I was always the only woman. To give you an idea of how difficult that was, there were no ladies' rooms. Imagine that, girls. Nowhere, no restroom to use the bathroom, because there had never been women. And the press pass that I wore to go to cover the games, on the press pass, it said, "No women or children allowed." So it was quite a hurdle, but I felt like my passion outweighed the hurdles. So if any of you is thinking, oh, I don't know, how hard is it going to be? Optimism and gratitude. I had a lot of gratitude for the opportunities I was given, which were all men. I'm in my 60s, and I've never been hired by a woman. So.
Wow. The reason that you're here, or one of the reasons that you're here, can you please explain what Title IX is, briefly, given it's hard, and what it means for women in America, in sports, and across society?
Title IX are 37 words that changed society in the United States. It changed society. For women in America, it was the second most important legislation after women's right to vote, which was in 1920. This passed in 1972 for the 50th anniversary. But what it meant, if you want to hear the 37 words, they're kind of cumbersome, complicated, but they are that no person on the basis of sex shall be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination in any educational program or activity receiving federal funding assistance. And the interesting thing, nowhere in there do you hear the word sport or athletics. But as it was applied for equal opportunity, all of a sudden women blossomed. And sports is so important for, I think, all around the world. It was the great Nelson Mandela who said, sport has the power to change the world. And it does. I'm here because of sports. You have athletes from this country that have gone all around the world representing Uzbekistan. And I always say it's the great passport. Being a journalist takes you everywhere. And sports, I don't know, I don't take it for granted. And Title IX created not just opportunities in athletics, but all the businesses around it. My job, women are coaches, women are businesses that from playing sports in America, actually Sarah knows this, in America, most of our leaders in business, CEOs or high-ranking women, played sports because sports teaches you teamwork, but you also want to be an individual, a success, whatever team you're on. So it creates loyalty, and yet you can aspire to be better. And to me, sports, it's the great meritocracy. What's that word? Do we have that word?
Meritocracy.
Equalizer. Equalizer, sports. Because it doesn't matter if your father is rich or your mother went to a certain college. Either you're LeBron James, you hit the basket, you're Tiger Woods, you sink the putt. It's all on you, not based on where in society you came from. So for me, particularly being a woman, I needed that equality.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said you wanted to write about sports, but you've gone on to television and radio and a podcast, and you're known throughout the world. Did you set out to be famous?
No, I'm always surprised. I just, journalists are observers. That's what we do. Like I already have impressions of some of you, and that's what we do for a living. We observe. And that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to do it in sports because people have to work so hard in sports to be at the level that I was covering. But I enjoy observing. I was very moved by the Marine service this morning. This is something that maybe I mentioned, but when you all hear your national anthem in another country, it is so moving. And I had no notion of fame. Fame for me were, Hollywood actors, but I was always put in the position of representing women or representing. I wrote for the Boston Globe. Now I'm with CBS Television. So I feel now that I wear it more comfortably. I will tell you, when I first started to get recognized, and someone would say, Lesley, Lesley, and I'd say, how is your father? Because I thought I must know them. And they'd say, we don't know you. So it took a while to get comfortable with it, but I accept it.
I love that. I love that you thought they would somehow know you.
And I'm not saying the right thing. Maybe it's the uncle, not the father.
So what Lesley's referring to about the Marines is we just had a celebration at embassies around the world. We celebrate the birthday of our Marines. We have Marines stationed at every embassy around the world, and so we just had the formal cake cutting ceremony. And so Lesley was there to hear, to see the ceremony and to observe the cake cutting and
hear our national anthem.
And hear our national anthem. And I couldn't agree more. I have actually only been a diplomat for 11 years, but it really is incredibly meaningful to hear your own national anthem overseas.
And do you know what's interesting being here in your country? That in our country, if something is 200 years old, we make it a monument. For you, that's the grocery store. It's like your culture is thousands of years old, but we will make a monument to something that's 150 years old.
So women playing sports in America is routine now. But in Uzbekistan and other countries around the world, girls and young women don't always have that luxury. In some places, girls aren't allowed to play sports, or their families prevent them from doing so. What can you say to inspire these women?
I would say for all of you, whatever area, but particularly for women, is it takes courage, but you have to have a voice. I don't know what the equivalent would be, storming the barricades, but you must speak up. That I will tell you, women did not play sports anywhere in the world, really, until about the 1800s. And the reason goes all the way back to Aristotle, back to the ancient Greeks, who of course had the Olympics, right? Wrestling, one of your great sports, was one of the main sports in the Olympics, but there were no women because it was thought that our reproductive organs could not handle the exertion of sports. Well, now that is so foolish. I mean, it's an absurd notion, but it took almost 2,000 years before people voiced that this is not acceptable. And there are ways that you can find sympathetic ears to say, we need to have a dialogue. It shouldn't be an argument. It should be, where am I wrong? I want to play sports. Where is that wrong? And there really is no answer. I've often found in my own career that you can replace the word tradition with prejudice. And we've had it in our own country. There was a time, we have great universities, and there was a time that African Americans could not go to big universities. My husband went to Harvard. There was a time that Jewish people could not go to Harvard. So people think it's tradition, but it's not. It's prejudice.
Okay.
Is that too much?
No, that was awesome.
I've lived it, so I know it.
Right. Very well. You are such a role model. What advice do you share with young women and girls for any path they want to choose?
I tell you that having worked still to this day with 90% men, you guys are different animals than we are. Men always think it's going to happen for them. They're going to work hard, but it's going to happen. And women don't want to voice, this is what I want to do. I want to be your job or my job or any people you see in society. So you must own that is what you want to do, which doesn't mean you won't change your mind along the way, but you have to start out. It's that first step. I admit I want to do this. And then you have to put in the work to do it. It's nobody gets where Sarah or I am without a great deal of time and investment. But I think the very first step is you have to own it. I will tell you one little story that leads to something that I didn't share with you yet. You're going to love it. By the way, the shower at the Hyatt is the best shower in my life. And I've covered 10 Olympics around the world, China, Russia, everywhere. Best, you must all go take a shower at the Hyatt. It's fantastic. But when Title IX was passed, the next year, our goddess of equality for sports in America, actually all equality, is the great Billie Jean King, who you probably haven't heard of her, but she really helped create equality for women. She was behind Title IX. She's one of the great Wimbledon champions. She won 20 titles at Wimbledon. And she came up in a time that there weren't really many sports for girls. So the year after Title IX was passed, she agreed to play a former male champion from Wimbledon to show that women belong. And it was quite courageous on her part. And she beat this man, Bobby Riggs was his name, and it was seen by 90 million people around the world because this was a woman taking on a man, both Wimbledon champions. He was older, but she beat him. And she said she did it because she had to show that equality is important, respect is important. And I haven't shared this with you. She sent me a text yesterday because she heard that I was going to be here. And she said, thank everyone here, including you, for the inspiration. Billie Jean King, I'll show it to you later.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
She's amazing. And there's a recent movie that actually tells the story of, I don't remember what it's called, but it tells the story of that famous match between the two of them.
Between Billie Jean. She really created, that awareness, which is also what you need besides a voice, you need to bring awareness. But she and another woman we have, Donna DeVerona, they pounded the halls of Congress. I don't know your government that well, but they, year after year, like Title IX didn't happen just because they said it. They went to Congress, week after week. They, like I myself, marched for Title IX in the 1970s in Washington. So it takes a rally.
I know we want to get to your questions and questions from the audience, from the audience online, which I think we have some coming in. But can you tell us what makes covering sports so much fun?
Oh, it's, wow, thanks. Sports is, you have no idea what's going to happen. It's not like a television show where they script it, they write everything that's in the show. It's, you don't know. The ball goes up, or wrestling. Is basketball big here? What else is big here besides, you have wrestling, gymnastics, not basketball.
Soccer.
Oh, soccer, of course,
Right.
of course.
Football.
And the World Cup, I got to cover 2 World Cups. Insane. Do you have that word, insane?
Insane. How would you say insane?
Insane. Okay. Every country is there. They're all so passionate. And one of the ones I covered was in France when France won it. So the whole country was in the streets. So it's just, it's a happy place, sports. It's great competition, but the people have worked very hard to get there. I have great respect for athletes and teams.
Shall we start with a question from the audience here? Anyone have a question? Please.
Sorry.
Tell me your name first.
Momanjan.
Momanja?
Yeah.
Momanja, okay.
I have some sadness question. Can I ask?
Sure.
Have you ever been in moments where when you want crying because you have problems in your career, and how you motivate yourself?
Thank you, Momona. That's a great question. Yes, I have a lot of scar tissue from 45 years because people didn't understand at first why is a woman doing this, and there were times that athletes were not kind to me, but I always said I would try to handle it in public and cry in private. And but yes, very difficult times, because I will tell you this, whatever it is all of you want to do, you can study, you can work hard, but no one prepares you to be embarrassed or humiliated. There is no class for that. And so it just, do you remember all seeing, I don't know if you ever saw the video of when Taylor Swift won the Grammy and Kanye West went up? Remember, and she just was frozen up there on the stage because, you know, it was so rude when he just went up there. And I have felt moments like that where, you know, you're paralyzed for a moment. So thank you for asking. Yes, all of you will experience that too.
Thank
And your name?
Izaza.
Izosa?
Say it again.
Izaza.
Izalda?
Izolta.
Izolta, thank you, that's pretty.
Who support you when you were a child except your mom? Nobody.
Yeah, interesting. There were no other women, but I wrote for a newspaper at first, and the men at the newspaper were very supportive. It was more the teams didn't understand it, but still, you know, you're by yourself. I never was allowed in the locker rooms for the first 5 years. I did my job, so I had to stand in the parking lot and wait for the athletes to come out, which was very diminishing, embarrassing. But I had, and my family really was great supporters. But you do need, that's a great question, because you need support. I will support you.
My name is Butterbake. Butterbake.
You're my guy. How is he saying it?
Waterbake.
Butterbake. Thank you.
Yes.
Have you had a situation where lots of people hate you? For example, doing something wrong.
Physically hit me?
No,
Hate you. Hate you.
Oh, hate you. Oh, sure. Yeah. People didn't want a woman to cover. How could she?
Women in sport.
Because a woman, like, how could she know soccer? How could she know wrestling? And I used to say that men, you are not born knowing soccer. You learn it because you loved it. And the reason I am the first woman in our Professional Football Hall of Fame is because I learned it and I love it and I know it. And but yes, and when I was at the Boston Globe, I would get letters, you know, I don't want to read you or any other woman in the Boston Globe Sports. So, you know, I think if you follow your dream, not everybody is going to be happy for you.
I have also some questions. My name is Bunyat.
Minyat?
Bunyat.
Bunyat, sorry, Bunyat. Okay.
What do you think? What's the best way to inspire women to participate in any kind of sport events or competition?
I think, thank you for that. I think that women have to find something that they like. Do they like kicking a ball? Would they like hitting a tennis ball, or gymnastics? You know, I think in America, the sports that everyone participates in comes naturally. It's not like the old Soviet system where you were picked and then that's what you became. In America, it's you have an interest in it and you follow it, which, I mean, the Soviets had great success with their method.
It's also supported by society or government, right?
Yeah, in America, the government gives you the opportunity, but doesn't tell you what to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas in other countries, the government
Picks you out, right?
Yeah. Before we go to your question, hold your question, please. I want to go to the first question online. Welcome to Uzbekistan, Ms. Visser.
Ramat.
Rahmat.
Well, haven't I? This is my first day.
It's like your first hours.
Oh,
Don't worry.
Grateful.
If you were not involved in sports broadcasting, what career path would you choose?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I would be a journalist of some kind.
That's your question?
Oh, that's yours?
No question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I would be a journalist of some kind because look where it's taken me. I'm here with you. Have any of you heard of the basketball player Yao Ming from China? Yao Ming, China was communist, and I went to do a story on him before he came to the United States. And I've met Nelson Mandela. I mean, sports or journalism takes you all around the world. So my father, my family is not Jewish, but my father grew up in Amsterdam under the Nazis. So I feel privileged that I have these opportunities where many countries still travel is not that easy. So I respect that I've had great opportunities.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Shahrukh.
Shahrukh.
Shahrukh. Do we have that?
No, Shahrukh.
Shahrukh?
Yes.
Shahrukh.
Yeah,
Sounds
there's
familiar.
an actor, Indian actor Shahrukh Khan. If you,
Oh, yeah.
SRK.
But
We
it's
know him as
without-
SRK because it's easier for us to
Oh,
say.
yeah. Oh,
right?
okay. Well, SRK.
SR.
Okay. What is your favorite sport actually? And do you play this sport nowadays?
I played tennis for quite a long time, thank you, and I played all through high school. But I was before Title IX in college. So I was someone who was the captain of 3 sports in high school and had no opportunity because it did not exist in college when I went. But I love basketball, and actually that's hard because whatever season it is, I love that. I do tennis from Wimbledon through the US Open, that's in the summer. Then I do our professional football. Then I do basketball. So I've really enjoyed them all. But
So what was your the most favorite? Like,
I would say college basketball has something called the NCAA tournament. It involves 64 schools from around America. And I just love that every college thinks they have a chance. And there's now a women's also college tournament. So yeah, I would say college basketball. Thank you. No one's ever made me. He followed up.
He did.
He did. He followed up. That
Do
was
you want to be
really.
a journalist?
That was really good.
no,
A cook?
Not yet.
no.
Oh,
He doesn't know
It
yet.
doesn't.
You don't know yet, or you're okay?
You have to voice it.
My name is Firuza.
Fruza.
Right. How do you manage your personal and professional life, like taking care of children, and also going around the world with journalism, like balancing?
It's a great question, and it's interesting because all the women are troubled by this,
Yeah.
and very few men.
It
It really.
so many hard tasks to
It
do
is.
at one time.
It is. I have the benefit of my husband played basketball at Harvard, so he understands how crazy it could be. And he's very supportive, and kids are much older. But yes, women struggle with this. And so you need, you were saying over here, is it Isolta? Isolta. Isolta. She was, Isolta, you were saying that you need support. And so that's what you need. You need family support or if you have a wife or a husband, whatever,
Supporting people.
supporting people, because yes, I'm sure in all your careers, but yes, understanding husband.
In the back.
My name is Satbaraj.
But say it again.
Satbaraj.
Sadbar.
Why are they such hard names? Why can't it just be Anne?
Right. Lesley, Sarah.
So, I've been playing tennis for 10 years, a professional tennis player. So it seemed like interesting to me. Can you tell a little bit about
Sure.
your experience when you played tennis, like tournaments that you attended?
Sure. I will tell you that it's been one of the great honors of my life that when I started covering tennis, it was Martina Navratilova and Chris Evert and all the greats, Steffi Graf and Monica Seles, and this Billie Jean King. She also mentioned to me in this text that, do you know Uzbekistan is part of the Billie Jean King Cup?
I didn't know.
There are 117 countries, and you are one of them.
So cool.
I know. It used to be the Federation Cup. Now it's tennis. I love watching it and covering it, and you will know this because you're alone, right? There's nobody else to say, well, you missed the ball. It's you, and they are great champions. And it's Wimbledon is, you should put that on your bucket list. Do you have that word?
Do you know that
It's
expression?
like a list, right, that you want to do in your life. And Wimbledon is so, I don't know, it's not religious, but it is the center of the history of tennis, and everybody appreciates it. It's a very valuable ticket. So I covered 15 Wimbledons and loved them all. So yeah, great sport.
Hi,
Hey there,
my name is Kamala. You can call me Coco.
Coco?
Yeah.
Like Coco Gauff?
I have two questions. How did you achieve your goals? And did you say yourself to yourself, I knew that and I could do that?
Come sit by me. Yes, I had the dream when I was, as I said, when I was just 10 years old. And the way that it happened for me, I don't know if you have an equivalent, but I won a scholarship from a very famous American named Andrew Carnegie, was from the 1800s. And he had, his foundation had a program, you're gonna love this, for 20 women in all of America who wanted to go into jobs that were 90% male, which in 1974, when I applied, all jobs were 94, 95% male. So it was a competition, and I won one of the scholarships of the 20, and I could pick out wherever I wanted to work, and the Carnegie Foundation paid the money for it. So I went as an intern. Internships, are these kind of interns? No, they're not. You have interns.
We have interns.
We have the amazing interns.
Yes.
Okay. The internships are really a great to look into for all of you, because those programs, the company doesn't have to pay, the internship is paid for. So, and yes, I did feel that I loved sports, I knew sports, and I was going to make it happen. So, thank you.
I need to do a little public service announcement since you mentioned internships. Many of you may know, if it's your first time here, maybe you don't know, but we, the State Department, the embassy, sponsors a number of different kinds of exchange programs. Some of them are to go to the United States. Some of them are here actually in Uzbekistan, and one of them is called the Young Professional Internships Program. And that is a program in which you can have a Western style internship experience in a local company or an American company that's based here. So follow us on social media if you aren't already, because we do put out announcements about when the applications for that program come out in addition to the exchange programs that we have to the United States. So please continue to follow us on social media if you already are. Please start to follow us if you haven't. We also have our own American Center Tashkent social media as well.
I want to tell you that is the most important thing that you will hear all day, because that is the way to go. Exchange programs are internships. Internships are, it's very, that was really, say that wherever we go.
Okay.
That was really good. You should get a book.
You should be a diplomat.
That's going to be. I think I've earned that skill.
It looks like we have another question from the audience online. What is your favorite sport to cover and why?
No, to cover.
I was
To cover,
saying,
not to play, but to
oh,
cover.
well, that was it, to cover college basketball. Was
my question.
was he Mahmoud?
No.
Was I close with your name? No, Shakrat.
Shakrut.
Shakrut. Okay.
SR.
Okay. SR, right. S for short. In America, they'd go S. Thank you for asking, but I really do love them all. I'll tell you one that I didn't mention before. The Olympics are very, very powerful. And the Olympics are challenging so that you just don't root for your own country, that you respect other countries and what they've accomplished, because, you know, you kind of go there as an American, but it's taught me that there are great challenges and athletes around the world. So I forgot the Olympics. That's great.
Other questions in the room?
How about that one? What would you do?
Yeah, I think they're not quite finished with that one yet.
Motivate.
Motivate.
Motivate. You're right.
Okay.
Do you have your favorite celebrity you want to speak with?
Oh,
Who would I like to speak with?
your
Yes.
favorite celebrity?
Oh, I'd love to have dinner with Barack Obama.
Wow.
That would be it. And you know, he's a big sports fan, which everybody comes as I said. You know, when I met Nelson Mandela, how about that for a sentence, huh? When I met Nelson Mandela, it was 5 seconds, but anyway, he has had an aura about him. Like, he absolutely, the fact that he was in prison for 27 years and he could touch both sides of the cell, but he didn't come out angry. He came out embracing the all-white South African rugby team. And that's why he said sport has the power to change the world.
We have a great question from online, but I have a question about the celebrity question.
Oh.
Do you get nervous ever before meeting a celebrity? Did you know?
I was really nervous the first time I interviewed the great Michael Jordan. And I was, you know, he's so universally, and now he's a pretty good friend. But I was so nervous, and it was on network television, right? So that's the only thing everybody's seeing. And he put his arm behind and he said, "I'll get you through it." Because I was just like, Oh, I have another really embarrassing story. You guys know the Beatles, right? Okay, so I'm a child of the Beatles, grew up watching the Beatles. And Paul McCartney, of course, as a child, you know, Paul McCartney. So at the Super Bowl, which is our biggest football, at the halftime, very famous groups or musicians, Bruce Springsteen, all kinds of musicians play at them. So I knew that I was going to get to meet Paul McCartney because my network, CBS, was doing it. Okay, so I practiced for weeks for my 10 seconds with Paul McCartney. He wrote a song called Blackbird, Singing in the Dead of Night. And I was going to ask if that were about racial justice, right? Blackbird singing. And I practiced for 3 weeks, okay? So now you be Paul McCartney. We're in this Superdome, and here he comes. It's all the people from CBS are kind of lined up, and it's my 10 seconds. And then you say, hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, I have all your albums. I've worshipped you since I was 10 years old. And then he gave me the old hello. That happened too, and I cracked it.
But you have humility.
I do. I have been humbled.
Yeah. So we have a great question from online. What would you do for this program if you were born a man? Obviously, I might not have invited you had you been a man, but The second part of this I love. What should the men of Uzbekistan do today in order to have the same rights for their daughters in the future? I know, I love that question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, whoever. Number one, I think a man would say some of the same things, that you need passion, you need knowledge, you need stamina. A man would not be expected to ask how you handle children, how would you handle going around the world. But I will tell you, in America, when sports for girls really blossomed was with our 1999. We won the World Cup, the women, and that was because the fathers had grown up watching their daughters play, and their voice became as important as the voice of the athletes. So yes, fathers, now in America, they go to all their daughters' games, their high school, their college games, and it's a real army of support. So yes, you could do so much for your daughters, and thank you. I can't wait to talk to Billie Jean again.
I feel that way about women's basketball too, though. In the U.S., it's really like
Oh, definitely.
fathers are definitely taking it.
They do, and they go, and women, I mean, it was inconceivable that women would have professional basketball in the United States, and then they sell them out, and they're very popular. They go around all over the world. They're, of course, we have the Brittany Griner scenario in Russia, but they're very popular. So, thank you for asking.
In the back there.
Okay.
No. Yes, please.
Your name?
Zahra.
Do we have one of those
Zahra.
already?
Zahra.
No one has the same name in the whole room? I guess. Zahra. Okay.
Have you ever wanted to end your career?
Thank you. I've been doing it for 45 years, and I've cut back. So now I just like to do interviews with people, which is really great. I've interviewed, all kinds of, because everyone comes through sports, you get to interview presidents and you get to interview owners of teams. So I like interviews now.
Movie stars.
What's that?
Movie stars.
Movie stars, they do come through. I've gotten, you get to know them because they all love sports. But no, I don't know Chris Hemsworth, and I don't know. Let's see, who are actors? Do you follow American or movie stars? Are movie stars big here or not so much?
I think you like movies, right?
Yeah.
Well, I have met George Clooney, and I have met Tom Cruise, and so yeah, they're pretty cool.
Wow.
George Clooney is a great basketball player. Great. He always, and of course our President Obama. Do they have one here, a body man? Do they have one with your ambassador? That's just a president thing. Okay.
Oh, no, they have security. Is that what you mean?
Well, the president of the United
Oh, you mean
States
someone who stands in?
always has someone next to him to say who your name is. Like, is Solta Rock?
Right.
Okay, right. They'll say, like, right. That's right.
She's been coming to the
That's
ACC
right.
for 35 years.
Yep, they say it even quicker. It'll be
Right.
like Dania or Dania, right? You'd
Right.
say, so then the president can sort of be like he knows you. And by the way, you always have to put it on your, well, this is our pin, but you always put your name tag on your right side. Okay, when you guys all get famous, put it on your right side, because when you go to shake hands, that's where the I goes.
Mm-hmm.
So the President Obama they call it the body man, the one that whispers all the names. He had a very famous basketball player from Duke, which is great basketball in America. And that was because he wanted to play basketball with him at lunch. He had Reggie Love was his body man.
Oh, wow.
For, all
Cool.
those years. Reggie
Amazing.
Love, yeah.
Okay. So another great question from online. Ms. Visser, thank you for the great chai chat. Yay.
Thank you.
Please share with us some tips that will help to become a good public speaker. I need to listen to you for this.
It's really difficult. I will tell you this. The first time I was on television, because I'd been a writer, which it required thinking on deadline, not speaking on deadline. So my first was a tennis event. The U.S. Open was my first assignment, or second for CBS. And when they said, let's go to Lesley Visser. I swear, you have to translate this. I looked like I had rigor mortis. I was like this. What's that word?
Rigor mortis. Do you, like you're
Dead.
dead. Yeah,
Dead.
like you're in death.
I was
Rigor
like this, and I had the microphone, and it was to Martina Navratilova, the great player, and or maybe it was Chris Evert, and I turned and I said, so, Chris Evert, what did you do in the second set? And she was like, Lesley, what is wrong with you? So it's a skill. It's a skill, and what you have to do is sort of have thoughts in your head. The best public speakers don't use words like awesome, incredible. They give you details, which I hope I've been able to do so that you can take the people listening to where you were. So are you mostly going to remember me with Paul McCartney of the Beatles? Is that going to be everybody remember that?
That actually leads into the next question, which is, please, how do we improve our storytelling skills? Which I think that is a perfect example.
Yes, well, it is, number one, you're not going to be good at it right away, or it's rare, unless you've sort of been someone interested in comedy at home, or you've practiced. But it takes repetition, and it's very rare that people can speak off the cuff. What's that example? Just without notes or preparation. So don't think that you ever have to speak just from your brain. It's, even presidents have teleprompters. So, and you're not going to be perfect right away, but sports isn't perfect. That's what I've learned. But it is a skill, and you can learn it.
We have other questions in the room. To you again.
Can you say one thing that will help me motivate myself in the difficult situation in the future?
Yes, one thing. It came from the great tennis player, Billie Jean King, who you all have to, particularly the women, have to learn about. And one time I asked Billie Jean King, what was the pressure of always being in the Wimbledon final? And she said something that actually changed my brain. She said, what do you mean? Pressure is a privilege. And if you take that approach, of course you're going to have hard things, but don't look at it like I'm afraid of it. Look at it, I'm going to embrace it. Pressure is a privilege.
Do you all understand what that means?
Yeah, how do you say it? Say it the way you say it.
Pressure is a privilege. It's as if it's a gift that is encouraging you.
Yes, that not to run from it, but to say,
embrace the challenge.
embrace
Yes.
it. Okay, yes, that's what she said, pressure, because all of us have pressure every day. We all make choices on some things every day. So, and you're going to have great pressure in your careers, but if you look at it like, okay, I can handle this. I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to embrace it. Thank you, embrace it. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, that was changed me. I was only 25. I don't know how old somebody, but when I asked her, I was just 25. So.
Just simple question. Can you tell a bit more about the character of Tom Cruise?
Oh, he's very confident, and what the best people in the world do, and this goes for presidents. I noticed it with your ambassador, with Ambassador John,
Our new ambassador.
and I noticed this. I had to MC. What's your word for MC? Like you?
The master of ceremony.
Master of ceremony,
who's
like she
moderator.
is.
Like, yeah.
I did it twice for President Clinton, which was very nervous to do it for the President of the United States. And what I noticed, which is what Tom Cruise does, and lots of great people, your time is your time. Like President Clinton, I noticed this with John, your ambassador. When you talk, they're not looking, who's going by. And I remember thinking with President Clinton that if like a symphony marched through, he wouldn't even look over there, because your time, it might be limited, but your time is your time. And if you can all try to learn that, that you are speaking to someone and they deserve your time. It's I admired it. Okay, well, it was your time.
So another question.
I was giving a physical
Thank you.
example.
Yes.
Okay.
Another question from online.
Mhm.
Thank you again to everyone for being here and for being online with us. We know that sport is a part of American culture. Why do you think, and what factors make it so? Why do you think that is?
I would say a couple of factors. Great question. Competition. America is all about competition. And, we're a young country, and yet we've made so many strides in so many areas. What we don't have is the historical perspective that you have from being thousands of year old culture. But we are very competitive, and we are a melting pot. People come from everywhere to the United States, and they take their skills. We have rugby players who come from other countries. Our soccer isn't anywhere like it should be, but we're starting to get better. And usually Americans, if they do something, they want to do it well. They admire Tiger Woods or LeBron James or Michael Jordan or great Olympians or actors, great actors and actresses. So I'd say we're very competitive, and also that you have the chance in the United States to do anything. You do have a chance. We have lots of problems, but opportunity is something that can happen in the United States. So I think both of those combine. We're not as crazy as the soccer fans are around the world. I remember going in England to see Manchester United play Arsenal. They dislike each other, and they had to have barbed wire fences to keep the fans apart. So, but I think that's it. We're competitive, and we have opportunity. Please.
Some people hate you because of your life choice, yes? But what
Hate,
about
I don't know hate, but didn't understand it. It was like
for
I was.
example, say why did you choose that profession? Why did you do that? Please stop it. But did you have a close friend or relative who lost touch with you because of it?
Oh, no, it wasn't no, it was more that men thought that they kind of owned sports, which they did in the United States, and they couldn't understand why or how a woman could report on those games. And it took a while to, I had to show by my performance that I deserved to do it. And it took years, though. It took, I had big opportunities, and I had to deliver because it isn't biological. Knowing or loving sports, it isn't biological. It's passion and your intellectual capabilities. So at first, hate is usually reserved for, in the United States anyway, for lifestyle choices or religion or some racism. But hate, my doing the job didn't change their lives. They just didn't understand it at first.
But you bring up a really good point about, the fact that women weren't expected to be in this profession. But we talk a lot today about, and you brought up the fact that the United States is a nation of immigrants. It's very diverse. We talk a lot today about diversity and how important that is, because diversity of opinion and diversity of idea, and that I'm not saying we believe that anybody can write about sports, but everyone brings their own ideas and opinions and different ways of. Lesley might do a sport or cover a sport differently from someone else just because she has a different life experience.
Yeah, it's experiences, and it's but it's not. A man wouldn't cover it differently than I do necessarily, which some people think, because I think that there's more difference within all the men than between men and women, if that makes sense. That we're all different. It isn't just because I'm a woman. It just made it harder to get the job. But Yeah, I think, and you're right about what immigration does is all those people, they bring their culture, right? Their food, their culture, their sport, their the arts. So I know it's an interesting place to live. That's why I'm here.
Thank you for being here. Somebody else in the room? Sorry.
Yeah, can you tell the most difficult sport case did you cover and what happened there?
I'll tell you, some of the Olympics are really hard. I really hope I get to meet Oksana because gymnastics is really hard. And harder than that is figure skating. Do you have figure skaters here?
Yeah.
You do? Well, I did at the highest level, the World Championships. I was then at ABC Network or the Olympic Network and skating. And skating is so hard. Okay, they're out there and they have to smile, right? It's so hard, but they have to smile and they're on a butter knife. They are going around the rink on the size of a knife. And there's the inside edge and the outside edge, and they take off on one foot and they land on another foot, and it is really difficult. It's like learning Russian in Uzbekistan, frankly.
So from we only have a few more minutes, but from online we have you said that this law has 37 words. If you could, what else would you like to add to these words?
Oh, I'd add that we need more compliance. Let me see how I express that. More colleges have to examine, are they doing what the law says? Because there are still many universities in the United States where the men have better gyms, their coaches are paid more, when under the law, it's supposed to be equal. So there's great opportunity, but that's what I would say, that we must look into making it truly equal. Thank you.
I would like to, hi, my name is Rabia.
Say it again.
Rabia.
Libya?
Rabia.
Rabia.
I almost got that one. Okay.
Rabia.
I would like to ask if you ever broadcasted tournament between colleges in the US, like the famous football tournament between Harvard and Yale.
Yes.
Have you ever?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
And
what do you think about
I'll
it?
tell you what, it's so historic for the United States. They tailgate. I don't know if there's an equivalent to that, but they all open their cars in the parking lot, and everybody eats together, and they have a drink, and they call it tailgating because all the cars are together, and Harvard thinks it's better than Yale, and Yale, it's those are the colleges, which also the Marines are here today. Celebrating, as Sarah mentioned, there are certain colleges, all the service academies in the United States, the Marines, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Coast Guard, they all think they're the best. And that's maybe not an attractive aspect of Americans. That where I went to college, we are not the best. I went to college in Boston, and we are not the best, but I pretend I have excuses. Right.
Yeah.
Have you been to America?
Yes, I've been.
Yeah, where did you go?
As an exchange student.
At where?
Indiana State.
Oh, Indiana State.
Yeah.
It's a great school. They love basketball.
Yeah, they do.
They do.
Which program did you do?
Flex.
Flex, excellent.
Yeah.
That's our high school program.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? They're nice
Yes,
people.
I took track and field. I wasn't able to take basketball, but
You ran track
during
and field?
springtime, I took track and field.
It's
I was a
so
sprinter.
a sprinter.
Yeah,
It's so hard.
it is.
The hardest thing I think, well,
Run.
lots of sports are hard, but how about the hurdles? They're
Hurdles.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Or
I tried.
People
but
run and then they put
Yes,
their
jump.
leg over the.
Yeah.
Crazy. Don't do that. Well, thank you for coming to visit us.
Thank you so much.
One of our most famous basketball players in America, in the history of basketball, Larry Bird, went to Arizona. He played against, he was with the Boston Celtics, Lakers. He's Indiana State, so you like your school. I've covered every sport, by the way. You cannot name a sport. I was the first woman, this may be my greatest achievement. I went down the Olympic bobsled. That's right. I was the first woman because they didn't used to think that women's muscles here were strong enough. Do you know the bobsled? It's on ice, right? They go down,
Yeah.
right? They go down like this.
Mhm.
And so the U.S. team invited me to go down. I was covering it at the Olympics in Albertville, France. And I said, sure, why not, right? Ooh. So it's like a tin can that goes more than 100 miles an hour on ice. And they told me, do not lift your head up because, you know, it could. So did I ever show you these pictures?
I've seen the pictures.
Oh my
I've seen-
God.
yeah.
Crazy. But now women compete in the bobsled, whereas they never used to do that. But was your question about the bobsled? I don't think so. Do you have mountains and skiing in
Yes.
Uzbekistan?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, you do? In what part of the country?
What year is it?
Here's nearby Tashkent.
Tashkent
Oh,
region.
near
It's,
here.
it's in the region, like not
Oh, you
city.
do?
Or just go there for relaxing.
And there is not too much snow actually, like for this kind of
Do they
sport.
make it snow?
No,
Okay.
there is not too much snow for this sport.
Snowfall, okay.
Yeah.
50 kilometers
It's
almost.
a great sport.
Can I say something? I guess most of the Americans love sport
Mm.
when we compare to other countries because when I saw in the films or in the videos, they're always so strong and like they go to gym. Is it really true? Like in real life also,
Yes, in America,
people like
It's-
fresh.
yeah, but they have bad eating habits. We don't eat fast food, not good. But yes, sports is very important, as it is in many countries. I mean, sport, like every country, you're not in the World Cup this year, right? I don't think you qualified. But all those countries, they're so passionate. I remember when Cameroon, very, very small country, got to the semifinals of the World Cup. So that's what I mean. It wasn't based on if you're the richest or if you're the biggest. It's just, are you the best?
What is it different? Like in Uzbekistan, we have to go somewhere in order to do sport. But like
Right.
in contrast, in the US, people do it inside of school.
They do.
Like, yeah.
Colleges are very big. But, and I think that's probably left over from the Soviet system where athletes were identified. And I did stories in East Germany. They had the same system, which was difficult.
Have you ever thought about career coaching? About coaching in some kind of sports?
Oh, you would like to? Oh,
No, have
great.
you?
I like sports.
Great.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about coaching? In some kind of sports?
No, but I've interviewed every coach ever.
You said
And
that you were some captain.
I was.
Captain of some college.
high school.
Yeah.
High school.
High
High
school.
school. 3, yes. But I didn't want to coach. I wanted to play. But coaching is it's like being a teacher. It is a teacher. The best coaches are teachers, and they're patient. And, my coaches made me better. And I've learned, really most of what I've learned is from either players like a Billie Jean King or from coaches who really tell, because they see what makes greatness and they nurture it, they feed it. So yeah, if you want to be a coach, it's noble to be a coach.
Thank you.
No, it is.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, but I want to thank you all so much for being here.
Do you want to ask? He has one more.
Have you ever satisfied with your achievements? Let's say, which did you in the past? Have you ever satisfied with your achievements?
Have I ever which?
Satisfied.
Is she satisfied?
Yeah, satisfied.
Oh, you're never totally satisfied ever, but I've been proud of
proud.
some moments. Yes, being at the fall of the Berlin Wall was very profound. To be there, being at the biggest, I've been at really many of the biggest games in the United States, but I always think I have an attitude of gratitude. I always think, wow, because my father was from another country, my mother didn't really follow, so I'm thankful that I was able to make my way. Thank you. Your English, by the way, is really good. Seriously.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think it is, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to the audience online. Please continue to follow us on social media. We're American Space or American Center Uzbekistan, U.S. Embassy Tashkent on Telegram and the other Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much again for being here, and thank you to you, Lesley.
Oh,
Thanks,
thanks to you.